Hello, friends. Welcome to a special edition on the Barricades podcast. I have here with me Karolina. Can you help me spell your name?
Yes, my last name is Więckiewicz.
Więckiewicz. I wanted to make sure that I don't completely ruin the pronunciation here. So on the Barricades, we discussed a lot of time the situation in Poland and what's happening there since the Catholic fundamentalist government is pushing legislation and regulations against the LGBTQ community, and now against women, reproductive rights, and a lot of bad things happen in Poland. And I mainly discussed the situation with Bojan Stanislavski, but now, finally, I was able to get in touch with Karolina, who was kind enough to share with me her thoughts. And Karolina is a feminist. She's also an activist, and she works at a foundation. It's called Aborcyiny Dream Team. It is a foundation that mainly helps women and girls to get abortions and to get a hold on their lives and have a choice in this very how should I say, delicate matters. And unfortunately, this week, the top court in Poland ruled that women and abortions will be banned, even in cases of fetal defects. That is, children who are doomed to die, because even I shared this on Facebook the other day. I was in a situation while pregnant, I was suspect of having a virus that was so dangerous that in fact would have eaten the brain of my child. So if luckily for me, that was not the case. It was just a false alarm and everything went well. I have a daughter, but I was devastated. And I had this comfort that in case I had such a virus, the possibility of terminating the pregnancy was there. But the misogynistic fundamentalist Catholic Church in Poland would have wanted me to give birth to such a child with no brain. I mean, how sadistic and perverse is this? And I wanted to discuss with Karolina. First, tell me more about yourself and your NGO. What are you doing, and what prompted you, what motivated you to work in such a association and NGO?
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. I live in Poland, and I have been working on abortion issues for almost 11 years now. And for now, still the majority of this time was in the NGO, and that I quit 4 years ago. And we, together with friends, established an informal group that is called Aborcyiny Dream Team. And we did that, four of us, four friends who had been working together before, but not together as one group or organization. And we had known each other, and we had very much respected each other, and we had learned a lot from each other. And in 2016, there was a time in which the two of us were free from the organization that we used to work for, and it was finally the time when we could actually get together and start something new. And we decided to do so because we were tired of the way abortion is talked about in Poland. Because for those of you who don't know, we have had a very restrictive abortion law since 1993. So, for majority of us, the activists, pro-choice activists in Poland, it is the whole reproductive life. that we have been living under an abortion ban because we can only have abortion in a Polish hospital in 3 very narrow cases. So in a case when a pregnancy poses a threat to our health or life, when the pregnancy is a result of a criminal act, or when there is a serious malformation of a fetus or a incurable disease that it suffers from. And it is just, we don't have any other option for an abortion within the Polish healthcare system. So 6 or even 6% of us, those who do not fall within the scope of the law, because it is like this. These 3 cases are only 4% of all abortions. The other 96% are for those who do not have those serious enough reasons to be, legal. So we have to do something else. And we have been doing a lot of things. At the beginning, we were using services of doctors in the so-called underground who would do abortions for money and commit crimes, those doctors, because a person who terminates a pregnancy never is criminally charged. But at some point, luckily, abortion pills became more available and more people got to know about them. And there are organizations abroad that help to get those pills. And a lot of people are using this, but we can also travel abroad. It's totally legal for us to travel abroad, but it is expensive, and people with money have been doing this for many, many years. So we at Aborcyiny Dream Team realized that because of the law that we have, we only talk about abortion in these 3 cases. And we have this understanding in society that abortion happens only in those 3 cases, which is not true. And as I said, 96% of all abortions happen because a person, for many reasons, cannot or does not want to continue a pregnancy. And these people are left alone. Moreover, in this political debate on abortion, when we talk about that it is always a traumatic situation, always a difficult decision, that we just want to have the right, but we don't want to have abortions, and all these things, that they come from stigma, from abortion stigma, because every reason is good enough to have an abortion if it's my reason. And we just decided that this talk that we have with politicians, with media, sometimes with anti-choicers or the church, are not productive, because those people do not listen to us, and people with abortion experience hear that abortion is something bad, and they don't want to hear that either. And we decided that we have to talk to people with abortion experience, because it's not some women out there who we can, talk about, but it's us. It's 1 in 3 of us who has this experience. Abortion is a part of our sexual lives. Every single one of us has thought about abortion. What would we do if we got pregnant when we are not ready? A lot of us thought that we were pregnant, and we're thinking, okay, if this is true, I'm going to have an abortion. And a lot of us had an abortion more than once. So we decided that we have to change the narrative to normalize abortion as a common experience that a lot of people in this country have. And that the line between those who have abortions and don't have abortions is not the line of political views, of religious beliefs, of the fact that we are feminists or not, that we love children or hate children, because this experience is a part of our sexual lives, and we are mothers. We have experience of spontaneous natural miscarriage. We have experience of abortion. We have experience of IVF. We have experience of infertility, and we are all the same people. So it's not that those who love children have children and those who don't want to have children have abortions. This is not true. Mothers have abortion. In fact, a majority of people who have abortions are already those who have children. So there are a lot of myths, misconceptions, and misunderstandings around abortion, which makes it like an abstract thing to talk about in the parliament, in church, in media, but without people who actually have the experience, because those people do not want to talk about it because of the whole stigma and the whole atmosphere around abortion that puts it in this, you know, something bad, something we don't want. Even in the language of pro-choice activists who say, yeah, of course we don't want abortions, we just want to have the right. No, we want abortions. If we are pregnant and don't want to be pregnant, we want abortions. We don't want a choice. We don't want a right. We want the actual service that is safe for us and that is effective, because we don't want to be pregnant. And the solution for that is abortion, not a right to have an abortion. So we decided to change it, and we decided to spread the news about abortion pills, about the fact that you can have an abortion at home safely and effectively without supervision from a doctor, and that it is a common thing to do worldwide, and that it is something that the the International Health Organization, what do you call it? World Health Organization, sorry, yeah. So it's like, yeah, that they recommend it until the 12th week. You can have it at home, totally safe, and it's effective, and you know, and it's safe. So also the fact that, you know, illegal abortions seem like for a long time were treated like unsafe abortions. No, even if abortion pills are illegal in some countries, still, you know, when you get the pills.
I wanted to ask something here.
Yeah,
Sorry
sure.
For the interruption.
No, that's okay.
Look, of course, the discussion should be about abortion in general, but we are interested in what is happening in Poland.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah. So
it is totally, I mean, for me, it's shocking to see that people would want you not just to limit your right to have an abortion or limit this discussions about this and stigmatizing women who choose to do it, but they would want a woman to give birth to a fetus that has 0 chances of living. I mean, there could be, maybe I'm trying to figure out what they are thinking, because they discussed about eugenics abortion. That would mean that parents would want to see if their children are sick, and then they would decide. That there is a controversy here, because I saw a documentary where you could have discovered whether your child is going to have blue eyes and then decide whether you want it or not. This is a sophisticated philosophical debate. But right now, from what I'm gathering, this is not about eugenics. This is not about the women accessing scientific knowledge and top research facilities to see whether her child is going to have blue eyes or not, and decide to abort the children and abandon the children that does not fit a certain category. The problem here is that they prevent women from getting access to medical knowledge and information about their fetuses regarding birth defects, like the situation I was in, where I could have been in the situation where the virus would have basically destroyed the fetus, and they would have wanted me to give birth to such a fetus. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is beyond abortion. This is pure sadism.
Yes, but it's
my impression correct? Is this
yes, it's you know, but it's I don't I really see where you're going with this, but the problem also with abortion is that there are good and bad abortions, you know. So it's like it's okay to have an abortion when there is, where fetus does not have a brain, but it's not okay if you just don't want, you know, like all abortions are okay, for like, this is what we are saying.
Course, but
And yes, but it is that because we've had this law for so long, we also have this understanding in society that, and you know, in within the like political scene as well, that there are good and bad abortions, and that, you know, like those like those good abortions that, you know, we can all agree that they can happen, you know, which is totally unfair also for these who have abortions for different reasons. But yes, there was this understanding that in these three cases abortions should happen, but there had been attempts to do this way before this court decision from this week. It's been going on for 10 years. Every year, anti-choices had tried to ban an abortion on this ground, on that ground, a total ban with, you know, with charging women criminally and, you know, putting them in jails for doing an abortion, you know, all kinds of ideas to restrict abortion even more. And yes, I can understand this, you know, this reaction of, you know, like not understanding that even those who have, you know, like little malformations, little diseases, that even those have to to give birth. But it is, I think that, you know, it is also like to picturize the situation, but still it is like, okay, so maybe in this situation they would allow this, but what about those who, you know, do, like these fetuses that would survive but live 3 years? Okay, so maybe these also, you know, so it is all about like this danger, for me, this threat to still decide which abortions are good and bad, and this has to stop. Because yes, I do think that if a person finds out that a fetus has no brain, they should have an abortion if they want one, but still they can give birth if they choose to. So, you know, and then, you know, in all these situations, there are people who decide to give birth and to hold their child for whatever long, you know, it's going to take them to die, but they choose to die. And, you know, it's about fundamental, you know, it's about fundamental understanding of pregnant people as people who should have, they should have the right and the possibility to make their own decisions. So it's not about good and bad abortions. It's not about, yes, and it is sadism, but for me, it is sadistic to force someone to stay pregnant if they don't want to, even if it's a perfectly healthy pregnancy. You know, it is sadistic. For me, it is cruel to force someone to stay pregnant, no matter what the situation is. So yes, and I think that also, you know, I've been doing this work, like I had been doing this work also of human rights, and I think it has brought us a lot of damage, because we understand abortion as not something that, you know, can happen if for whatever reason, but we say like, okay, you cannot force someone to have a child that is going to die after birth, but you can force someone to give birth to a child if they, you know, simply don't want to get pregnant. You know, it is also a torture to stay pregnant if you don't want to be pregnant. So, you know, so it's yeah, but of course it is.
I'm seeing here a pattern, because to me, you have to admit that, of course, it is violence against women right from the beginning to force them to stay pregnant. I even had nightmares about that. I mean, I find it to be one of the most horrific forms of rape, if you'd ask me. But here they are going even further, and my fear is that you are going to end up like Romania, because I don't know if you know, but in 1966 we had Ceausescu, who banned completely abortions. But not only that, he went even further. He said that, and the law said that you wouldn't be allowed to have access to contraception. Then he had the DA's office coming and prosecuting doctors and nurses if they would help you. Then he had the secret police that would come after you. And the horror stories that we heard from women are simply unbelievable. A friend of mine just told me that, because you have to have a whole system in place. And my fear is that this is only the first step. Because in Romania, what we had an army of gynecologists going into factories and forcibly checking up on women to see if they are pregnant or not. They were treating them like animals, and they wanted to see if the women were pregnant or not, to have a clear, spreadsheet with who's pregnant and who's not. And if the woman got a back alley abortion, and let's say she got infected, the thing that happened usually was the following. The police and the secret police would go to her bed, would prevent doctors from helping her, and would say, look, you're going to die. Unless you tell us who did this to you, we are going to let you bleed to death. And a friend of mine told me that that the police officer took her to her mother, and the police officer were saying, look, these are your children. They are going to be left alone because we are going to leave you to bleed to death. And look at them. Can you imagine the horror?
I've been doing this for
to get a lot of he raised the number of Romanians spectacularly, but with what costs? Because we have to keep that in mind. And this is why I ask you, because my fear is that next they are going to say, look, we don't care if the woman is going to die if she has this child. Okay, so let her have the child even if she dies.
But you have to remember that
if she got raped, my fear is that you are going to end up like Romania, because I even heard an Orthodox priest saying that some contraception methods are actually like abortions, and they are killing fetuses, and they should be banned. So the fear is, I don't know, a realistic one.
No, it's I am totally familiar with the history of abortion bans in Europe and in Romania. The situation that you described, of course, I know about it, but you have to remember that it was a long time ago. The times have changed. We have internet. We have abortion pills that did not exist at that time, and really, it's like we have a ban on abortion in Polish hospitals since 1993, and yes, now it is also in a symbolic way, a barbaric thing to do. But it means that 1,000 more people will have to travel abroad. And it's not, if you talk about dozens of thousands who do this every year, of course, I know that it is, something that, in a way is bringing a lot of emotion, and it's like this imagination goes really, really far in advance, like what's going to happen. We had the same thing in 2016 when we had this draft bill of a total ban and putting women in jail, and then the Polish society woke up and oh my god, we have to do this. But since 1993 we cannot have an abortion in a Polish hospital. 96% of us, and we have to do it alone, and it's gonna be the same. Just 1,000 more people will have to do this. And I know that it is a scary vision of Romania in the middle of the last century, but it's not gonna happen, because first of all we have internet, so we can spread the news in a minute that something like this happened. Everybody in Europe is talking about this right now. Also, we have a lot of feminist groups all over Europe, and more people. We want to help. If someone wants to come to France, I have a home, I have a house, I can translate everything. A lot of people are doing this. There are groups that are working right now, helping people to have abortion abroad. We have free movement. We can go abroad. Of course, with the pandemic, it's restricted. We have pills that we can order online. They're not going to close the internet. They are not going to, of course, the vision of registering pregnancy is something that people are scared of. But, you can see also the reaction on the streets to this. like we are not gonna allow for this, and we have to know that Ceausescu had this vision of enlarging the number of Romanians and forcing everyone to give birth. We do not have such a prime minister or president or whoever who wants this. We have anti-choice organizations and some anti-choice MPs who managed to do this because they used very smartly the facade, the constitutional court that we have, but we do not have this, person that is there at the top. Actually, the head of the ruling party is not interested in abortion at all. So it is anti-choicers, a group of really fundamentalists and those people who just want, it's not that they don't want abortions. They want everyone to think that abortion is something bad. They want to leave people alone. They don't want for that to be a part of the health system and so on. They do not care about abortion as such because people have abortions. It's just that they cannot have it in Polish hospital and the Polish system that kicks them out to take care of themselves. So it's a totally different momentum in history, a totally different goal that those people want to achieve. And yes, we have a very right-wing conservative government, but we have to remember that Law and Justice as a party never introduced any bill to restrict abortion law in the parliament. Never ever they did that. So it's also the fact that, of course, there were MPs, like 40 MPs, a group of MPs who took that notion and that motion to the Constitutional Court and wanted a ban, but it's still, the minority of this ruling party as well, the minority of those people who vote for Law and Justice. So it's not about, that Polish society, Polish politicians are against abortion. It is that the anti-choicers that are financed also very well from abroad, from the United States mostly, that they're, have this power to make it look like this. And yes, the Constitutional Court took this chance to, serve the ruling party, but also not that because the ruling party is really wants this. They just want to get rid of that. And they, use that and so that they don't have to every year have that draft bill in the parliament all over again and, have people on the streets. And of course, there are people now on the streets, but they cannot do anything. So, and we have...
to ask, because
yeah.
Have this ruling, what are the legal possibilities and options for you to fight back?
Nothing. There is the only thing is that, there is going to be another law that is adopted by the parliament and is not questioned by the Constitutional Court. But the law that exists right now with this provision with the possibility to have an abortion in a Polish hospital on this ground is ruled unconstitutional. That means that it cannot be performed in Polish hospital. And of course, there are now voices in the ruling party in the parliament that we have to right now come up with another provision. There are people who are saying doing some damage control. So maybe we should just limit it to and have when it's a little disease or malformation, we should allow because also the problem with this law has always been that it's very blurry, that it's up to a doctor to decide whether there is severe and an irreversible malformation or if it's a lethal uncurable disease. It's like this: what is severe, what is irreversible, how long we should try to reverse this, and and there is a time limit as well. So it always was on doctors to decide whether this abortion is legal or not, and if it's not legal, they were at risk of criminal charges. So it also had a chilling effect because we have that also in the criminal code. So it had a chilling effect on doctors who were like, I don't want to risk criminal charges, so I don't think it's severe enough, and this one is severe enough. So also that was a question, whether these provisions are clear enough. So right now there are voices from the politicians. So maybe we should just come up with another provision, because just that it cannot be any malformation, but maybe we should have and all this kind of things. But it is still a damage control, and it is that there are very strongly positioned anti-choice organizations that are keeping fighting for this. So it's it's a political game, who has access to politicians and can really do damage. And it is like this especially since the Law and Justice came into power. They really took everything in the parliament. That was a strong, a strong how do you say, sorry, I just they were trying to force them, real pressure. Yeah, pressure, that's the word. I don't want to, a strong pressure, okay, finally you have a majority in the Polish parliament, do something about abortion. They were put in this position that finally they have to do something about it, and they didn't really want to, because they were in favor of the of this law that we had. So they were in this what to do forever now, since they came into power in 2015. So it's really, finally they could just okay, it's not us, it's the Constitutional Court. Of course, the Constitutional Court has the shape of what they wanted, but still, it can be it was not in the parliament. But it's not that they really wanted it. So it's always a political game that we, as people with uteruses, mostly women, but not only, tend to lose every time. And it's not only about Law and Justice. There were also leftist parties in the history of free Poland that had sold women's rights for something else, that they traded, with church, with Vatican, with a lot of different political actors, because, women's rights were always the easiest to do so, and they seem to be the easiest. But I think that also we are now so angry, and we have been angry since 2016, that a lot of people are going to know about it, and we're just not going to allow for treating us like this anymore. But also we are right now in a lot stronger position that Romanian women were in the Ceausescu time, because we have each other and we have solidarity. We are self-organized, and we just are a lot stronger, luckily. And we are gonna get over that with a lot of things that we can use in Europe, by being in solidarity with one another, but also with cooperating with one another. And that's why we exist, also the Abortion Dream Team. If a person reaches to us, they will not be alone, and we will do everything that's possible if a person does not want to continue a pregnancy, to allow to make that happen. And that's why we exist, and we will. And we have seen so much solidarity and also financial support coming our way since within this past week. So it's just, we are gonna get stronger after this. But yes, I agree that in the symbolic also understanding, it is a sadistic thing to do, but also I have a strong conviction that we are going to survive this, because we are stronger than ever, and we are together, and people are paying money for other people to have abortions, and it is something that is unstoppable, and no Constitutional Court, no Law and Justice, no church will stop us ever.
Well, such an optimistic message, and I'm so glad to hear it, Karolina, because I think this is what we need right now. My whole idea was, look, you have these crazy ideas about controlling people. Do you really want to do that? I mean, just go back to Romania to see how it was like, and then decide if you want the state to control the women in such a way. I mean, I think a lot of these people don't even realize what it means to go that far with this type of regulations.
Yeah.
And of course, right now, the optimistic thing about it is that we have the internet, but you know, since we had such a traumatic experience here in Romania, I think that everything could go bleak at some point, that could go dark and in a very negative direction. But as you say, these are only groups that try to use politicians to get their agenda and to get their ideas adopted by law. And I think, what is your opinion? Do you think that Polish women are going to distance themselves from the Catholic Church once they see this type of sadistic ideas and behavior being put in place?
You know, it's been going on for quite some time, that people are, you know, in a way going away from church, and it's not only about decisions made on, like, not the it's all about the influence that Catholic Church hierarchs have on politicians, which is of course the result of the contract, the concordat that we have with the Vatican, with the Holy See, and you know, and people see that, you know, but it's also, there are a lot of people who are Catholics and they go to church and they believe in God and they, you know, like want to practice their religion, but they are still against the influence that Catholic Church hierarchs have on politicians, and this, you know, relationship, a very strong relationship that the Polish state has with the church as an institution. So a lot of people decide to, you know, go away, and you know, like, because also, you know, what does it even mean to be a Catholic? You know, for many it means that I was baptized, I went to church as a child, and you know, if I don't want to be in this anymore, I have to sign out. But there are a lot of people who still like are Catholics but do not agree with what's going on, and they, you know, they, because also this line, you know, is a myth that, you know, that this is the line of a division, you know, in terms of beliefs and views on abortion, because abortion is not a view, it's not a belief, it's something that just happens. And also Catholic people like have abortions, and it's not, you know, of course it is, you know, for many a lot harder because they have to, you know, I don't know, confess about it or decide not to, or, you know, and face different things that are only existing in their religion and the fact that they belong to the Catholic Church, but you know, they still have abortions. And a lot of people, like, you know, approach us and they have like, what do I do? I'm a Catholic, but I want this abortion, like, you know, so it is sometimes a dilemma for them, because they would never thought that they, you know, they would ever need that. And they're like, okay, I'm a Catholic, so, you know, if I'm a Catholic, it means that I cannot be pregnant, that, you know, I don't want to continue. No, the Catholicism does not prevent pregnancy, so and unwanted pregnancy. So, you know, there are a lot of people, and you know, a vast majority of people in Poland, they declare themselves Catholics. So, and we have, you know, close to, like, probably around 150,000 abortions a year. So it's not even enough people who are not Catholics to fill in those numbers. So, you know, it's obvious, and we know that from our experience, people, you know, actually tell us about this, because for some it's a problem, for some it's like they know that it's not a problem. It's like, I'm a Catholic, but I don't want to stay pregnant, and I know that my church thinks that it's a sin, but I don't. You know, there are a lot of other sins that we, like, people who are Catholics, like, you know, have, like premarital sex or living together before, you know, there are a lot of things that we agree, like there are a lot of rules that we agree to break. And also Catholic people break a lot of rules that Catholic Church thinks that there are sins or bad things to do, but they choose not to follow that and still call themselves Catholics, and they just have to deal with that in whatever way. But, you know, it's but yes, people are tired of the fact that the Catholic Church is like very influential, but we have to remember that although the Catholic Church supports the changes, and also the episcopate like issued this document in which they said that they're very satisfied with this decision and everything, but it's not that the Catholic Church clerics are really like openly forcing those changes. As I said, we have anti-choice organizations, NGOs that are very well financed that are doing this and trying to convince the society that it is something that we as society want. And of course, they in a way have the support of the Catholic Church.
This is so interesting because it also happened in Romania. We had in 2018 the referendum for the family. They wanted to define the family as the union between a man and a woman, and not as it is right now in the Romanian constitution, a union between spouses, because they thought spouses or citizens is a too neutral term, and that would allow and leave the door open for gay marriages. So we had this whole idea, but the Orthodox Church was not the main driving force. We had also this type of organizations, and I want to end our discussions with this. Who are these people? I mean, because here, from what I gather, it is not the Catholic Church the main driving force, but this fundamentalist neo-Protestant, from what I gather, or religious fundamentalists. And here in Romania also, we had a very strong neo-Protestant movement that was pushing forward with these ideas. So who are these people? And do you think they would, if Trump loses the elections, they would get more, I don't know, they wouldn't be so vocal in the society?
It's hard to say, but because it is like what we observe in the strongest movement, it is very much influenced, and I would risk a statement that it's also financed by American anti-choicers, because a lot of strategies are exactly the same, and so it's we even compare our anti-choicers is like the groups that are in Poland with those that are in the States. It's just that the ways of operating are different. But if we had a clinic here, like, a private clinic, and we would perform abortions, they would probably shoot at us, like they do in the States. They have just different opportunities, different legal settings and everything. So they do want, like, we right now, like those anti-choicers, they have this this car that they this truck that they put a lot of things on, and this week they put our picture, like the Aborcyine Dream Team's picture, together with like a preborn child, basically saying that it is a product of abortion and that we are an abortion killing team, and we are just so, and they are driving around and nobody like stops them. Like, there are people who stop them, but if we stop them, we get fines, because the police escorts them in and helps them go through the streets. So if we were if we had, so these are like also targeting people and saying like these are the evil ones, these are the strategies that American anti-choicers use. If we had a clinic, they would be in front of that clinic, with those transparents, with bloody images, and so they put together with Hitler, with politicians, and they have faces of the evil. So they do the same in the States. They target abortion providers and shoot at them or threaten them or follow them. And so these are like, so it is quite obvious that they have a lot of money. And this is also a thing, that they are financed by very, very strong organizations abroad, and those organizations in the States like have a lot of money. And also there are the same strategies. They are very well trained. We know that there are like these trainings on how to be a good anti-choicer and everything. So it's about also resources, but it's not that it's been going on under the Trump administration, because also like we had Obama for a long time, and still those anti-choice groups in the States were very very well financed and operating without any restrictions, and they influenced a lot of activists in Poland and in Europe altogether. So if there are still people like in some countries that are determined enough, they will use it, and they will try to be vocal. But we know that also we are getting stronger, and the fact that a lot of people went into
send a message for all the women and girls who feel a little bit disappointed at this time. What would you say to them?
I think that we in Europe have a very, very strong movement, not even pro-choice, but abortion supporters movement, and I think it's only gonna get stronger and stronger, because there are restrictions everywhere, even in these countries where in theory you can have an abortion on demand, so-called, like until 12th week or something. In many countries like Italy or Croatia or even France, it's just sometimes so hard to have it. So we have free movement, we have people who organize themselves and collaborate with one another across Europe, and I just think that we're going to get stronger and stronger, because there is a need that abortion will never stop. We will always need it, and we will find a way to do it one way or the other. And there's more and more people who believe that it is so important to support others, and there's going to be more of us, and we're going to work together. And yeah, sometimes it's going to get harder, sometimes and it is unfair that sometimes we have to go abroad because our country just does not serve us. But still, I think that we are going to grow stronger and stronger, and we're going to get more support. And maybe I won't see the change in my life, but we are doing this also for future generations. So also very young people, like who could be my daughters, are joining, and I just see that. I just feel the strength in that. I am angry, I am sad, I am really, really frustrated with the situation. And I just hope that, it's not going to happen in any other country. But also I see, and I have seen this for many years now, that we as the movement of abortion supporters, abortion, friends in abortion, you call it, that we are growing stronger, and we will grow stronger. And I just hope that people can reach to us, and we can reach to all people who need abortions and cannot have them for some reason, with information that we are there for them. And I hope that there are going to be groups like this in every country, and that we grow as a movement enormously within the next few years, because we need that, and we need each other in order for every person who needs an abortion to get one in dignified conditions.
Thank you very much, Karolina. It was great talking to you, and I envy you for your optimism. Really, and keep fighting. It is a fight worth fighting, and thank you very much for being.
Thank you, Maria.